Welcome to Ask the Accountant, the podcast that is made for you. Weekly podcast live Mondays from 8:30 a.m., released on the podcast service of your choice on Wednesdays. Your main weekly hosts, Aaron, Patrick, and Johann. Got something to ask? Submit your questions below or ask during the show. Podcast loading. We are currently getting everything set up behind the scenes, so sit back, relax, and we will be with you in a few seconds. Enjoy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Ask the Accountant. It is 8:30 on the 8th of May, 2023, and I am here, as always, on a Monday morning with Mr. Aaron Patrick. Aaron, how are you? How was your weekend?
I am great. Thank you very much. It's good to see you all. It's good to be here. I see you've had an eventful weekend, haven't you? Well, your dad's had an eventful weekend.
My dad's had an eventful weekend.
Put it that way, man. Yeah. I mean, you've got to tell everyone this. This is amazing.
Yeah. So my dad was at the coronation for the King. He was in Westminster Abbey, and he literally had a front row seat, as it turns out, next to the unknown soldier's grave. So he was in touching distance of the King and the rest of the royal family as they came through. So he had a fantastic weekend watching a bit of history in the making, regardless of whether you're a royalist or not. Very, very nice weekend for him, being able to watch that. And the rest of the family spent the day playing Spot Dad on TV. Unfortunately, it was a lot easier than any of us anticipated, because he was in every shot, everyone walking in and out of the whole Abbey. But yeah, so he had a fantastic weekend, and then it's just been wet and miserable in Scotland all weekend. So I've just had a quiet, chilled weekend myself.
Did you get a chance to speak to Kate Perry at all, or
no? No, So they got up at like 4:00 in the morning on Saturday, got the train in, went to the Abbey, and then went home again.
Nice.
So, but yeah, he's very much a lifetime memory made there.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean that's huge, isn't it? That's absolutely wicked.
So Aaron, what's going on this week? Anything new? Anything busy? Quiet week, isn't it?
Quiet weekend too. Yeah. I think we've got to head over to London for a little show or something called Accountex, is it? I think that's how you call it. So
it sounds familiar. 4 days in London, can't wait.
That's going to be a big one, isn't it? I mean, we were talking off air about kind of what's been announced and stuff, and I think this is going to be a really, really impressive Accountex. I think there's going to be a lot of announcements, so keep us busy, keep us entertained. We're doing a lot of events while we're there anyway. We've got a lot of talking points, etc. to do. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really big one, and there's some newer kind of takes on it as well, where I think previously we've had quite a samey Accountex. It's kind of been very, very kind of same old. But when you look at what's happening, you look at the show floor, look at, people taking up much bigger stands than ever before, like people like Hammock and stuff. I think it's kind of a different feel to it this year, and it's going to be really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. The fact that Hammock have got like a stand the same size as Free Agent Zero, QuickBooks and Sage, that's exciting for them. I hope they get the return on investment that they're obviously looking for. But yeah, fantastic. I think it's going to be a fantastic 2 days. Like all the social media hype, I mean, especially on LinkedIn, everyone's excited. Everyone's talking about it. From attendees talking about things that they recommend you take if you've not been before, from comfy shoes to battery chargers to bottles for refilling for water to vocal zones or strepsils, whatever your throat pastel of choice is. Yep. There's lots of great tips and advice out there at the moment. Ashley Leeds did some
branded shirts.
Branded t-shirts, yeah.
I mean, you could have an actual, I don't know if it'll get on the screen, like a little Accountex badge on the shirt.
Oh, look at that.
See, you could have... Was that mentioned? Was that?
No. What was mentioned actually was getting a QR code on like as a sticker on your Accountex badge, so you can So Zoe, I can't remember her surname. Oh, I think it was Zoe. Someone's got a QR badge sticker on their ticket. What have you got there?
QR code ready to go on my badge.
Oh, very good. So you can scan it and get people's LinkedIn details and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, even Charlie from QuickBooks Labs, hasn't he? He's even invested in QR code technology.
Yeah.
Single day.
Now you know it's from the 90s. But yeah, so there's loads of top tips from attendees telling other new attendees what to expect and stuff. I'm seeing a lot of people on like Facebook groups saying, "Oh, I'm going on my own. It'd be great to meet up if anyone's there." It's such a good networking opportunity for attendees. And then we've got all of our exhibitors. I don't know about you, Aaron, but I seem to have ended up with 3 badges. I've got my visitor's badge, my exhibitor's badge, and my speaker's badge. So if I'm making up 3 of the 9,000 people, I'm not sure how many people are actually going.
There's actually 3,000 going. Let's do the maths.
But yeah, so because I'm there as a visitor with my own firm, so I signed up for that. QuickBooks have got me there as an exhibitor to work on their stand, and then we're both there as speakers as well. So yeah, it's going to be a great 2 days, and I'm really looking forward to the networking. And also, last year I didn't feel like anything new got announced.
Yeah, it was a weird one last year, wasn't it? It was very much. I think we were just all very grateful to be there. I think that was the underlying thing, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah. Whereas this year, there's so many companies out there, and we're going to go into some of them in a bit, that are saying, "Come to our stand. We've got something new to look at." So I mean, the overriding theme, like, generally when you go to Accountex, you get a feel by looking at the supplier, at the exhibitors, what the themes are.
Yeah.
In previous years, like last year, cryptocurrency was bloody everywhere. I don't think it will be this year,
wasn't it? That was the 2.
Yeah, it hadn't collapsed everywhere.
Yeah.
R&D, outsourcing in general. MTD before that. So each year for the last few years, there's been kind of an overriding focus. I don't think it's ever intentional. I think it's just, this is the theme of conversation in the industry at the moment. So off air, you and I were talking, weren't we, about what's going to be the theme of conversation this time. And it looks like it's going to be AI. But artificial intelligence is coming up everywhere. And we've just seen 2 big announcements from practice management tools that we'll talk about in a moment, about them plugging into AI.
Yeah.
We know from QuickBooks Connect in March, they are pulling in AI tools to give insights into your next VAT return or your next tax return, etc. So yeah, I think AI is going to be the overriding subject of conversation at this year's show. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
I think you're right. I mean, we've already seen 2 big announcements, haven't we? And again, we'll go into them and we'll talk about them a lot more. They have already said up front that that's going to be what they want to announce at Accountex. And I think there's a lot more that haven't shown their card yet, and they're keeping them close to their chest. And it makes sense, right? Like, this is going to be, for us, like the next big change. I think, MTD was a huge part of our, evolvement of software, but I think this is going to be that next big change where we're going to be able to see the power of it. Because one thing I keep reminding and telling people is, like, whoever's played around with ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or Grammarly or whatever solution you're using that's kind of leveraging AI at the moment, that's great. And we've all seen great little scenarios of it and fantastic tools and fantastic ways we can improve our workflow or, get communication out to the wider world or whatever we're using the solution for. But we've not really seen it inside our accounting toolbox yet. And I think as soon as we get that in their accounting toolbox, some of the ideas that have already been mooted could completely revolutionize the way that we help our clients.
Yeah. Like, I'll be honest, I was keeping an eye on AI, But the use cases I was seeing up until now were very much for people like ourselves as podcasters to summarize an article, or it was to help copywriters and bloggers to generate new articles, etc. It wasn't to do what some of these tools are looking to do. So yeah, I think it's the same with anything, isn't it? When there's a new software, it's all about having the imagination to find ways to implement it into your scenario.
Yeah.
So let's have a chat about what we've heard last week then.
Yeah, let's listen to the news and then we can give our thoughts on it, can't we?
Yeah. So Pixie and Carbon, both practice management tools, made announcements last week that they are going to be plumbing in AI. Both sound fairly similar in the way they want to do it in the first target. So Pixie are going to be developing what they call a co-pilot tool. And basically, this tool is there to help you summarize long emails. So you can just read a summary of that email instead of having to read the whole email. And it's going to help you generate responses to emails. And then it's going to help you with your workflows, etc. So you are saving a bit of time there. Carbon announced a very similar concept. They're going to be plugging in AI into their platform. Now, Carbon's biggest ever first feature was their triage. So they're going to work with AI on their email management as well. And they're going to do the same kind of thing of summarizing emails, helping you reply to emails, helping you rewrite emails so that it's going to be professional, confident, etc. So they were the two big announcements that came out. Now, Pixie's announcement is tied into a huge product revamp. Right, from what I'm hearing from the guys at Pixie on LinkedIn and stuff, it's Pixie 2.0. They are completely revamping. They've been fairly quiet for 12 months, but it looks like they've been very quiet because in the background they have been slaving away at a new product and reimagining what the Pixie product is. And this AI is part of that. So yeah, AI in your practice management tool. What are your thoughts there, Aaron?
Well, before we talk about AI, I think one of the biggest things that is exciting me is what the practice management space is looking like at the moment. You think about it, you've got Carbon and Pixie. Well, Pixie having a whole relaunch. That's amazing for the industry, right? Mm-hmm. You've got Carbon going down the AI route as well. You've got new kids on the block like yourself coming in and putting innovations in with Client Engager. You've got Bright looking at the whole ecosystem and finally, maybe making that solution where you file an accounts or file a VAT return and that's going to update it automatically. That dream scenario that we've got. And then you've got Sage and QuickBooks and everyone else seeing this and going, right, we need a practice management solution. And we've said from day one, practice management solution is one of the most important bits. We've even had Chris on, we have cool friends, didn't we? Chris Downing. Yeah. His number one tip when you're first starting out is to get practice management solution. So seeing it being taken so seriously and seeing the innovation that's coming into the field, it's great for the whole industry. This is the whole idea where all of you guys are going to be bringing out new features and each one's going to be pushing each other and we're just going to get a better product at the end of it. As a consumer, as the end user, this is the best scenario for us and it's really exciting. When it comes to AI itself, what I'm really excited about is the idea about, chat GPT and all of those things. If you've got some content to write, you were saying on LinkedIn how you wrote a piece of content just using AI, just to play it, see how it went. And you were really impressed with it, weren't you? It was a great result. Like just using it in its context of just kind of letting it do its little thing and, put a few prompts in and off it goes is already really impressive. Now we've got a security issue and hope, I trust that these guys are going to figure the security issue out because ultimately we're letting this AI see all of our client data. It's all going to be accessible for them. But once that bit's sorted and once all of that bit's been ironed out, think of the power that could bring to that tool. It's those little things. It's making sure that, the tone of our emails, doesn't matter who sends them out, are all consistent. So, doesn't matter what Bofix member of Teams sends out an email, they're going to go out looking quite like, all similar or have a similar tone and everything else, all thanks to the AI. And just, a lot of people are kind of dismissing this idea that it will create your emails for you and everything else. I don't see that as, cheapening our service or making our service less relevant. I see it as an opportunity to really train people, because yourself, like, one of the hardest skills we've ever had to do is trying to get in our profession is writing emails in the first place. Like, that's not taught at school. That's not that's a skill we've developed over time, isn't it? That's and it's a really difficult skill to get to grips with. And I just feel like this whole solution, this whole idea, at least is going to give you the bare bones, at least going to give your staff the opportunity to start learning those core skills quicker and simpler and easier, because it's going to help them in that whole process. And I find that super, impressive. And I feel like that's going to be where the main thing is. And also for me, I feel like once it's kind of got that email chain kind of sorted out, like, what else can it do? You got the idea there of it knowing that someone else has already sent an email. So if you're about to email a client, imagine the first thing it says is, I know you've just spoken to so-and-so, but, bring that sort of context in. You're about to type an email out asking for a bank statement. And it goes, whoa. No, we've already had that. That was here. That's where the AI can be really important for us. And it helps us in a wider context, especially in a remote working environment like you're in, it's really easy for us to accidentally go and ask for a bank statement of a client when, Jenny's from your other office has already asked for it. Having AI or something like that to prevent those little things, I think it's really, really powerful. I saw other examples of it being kind of mooted around, of the idea that if a client sends you in just a load of documents, they're not going to sit there naming those documents for you, are they? The first thing they do, how many times you had a document come in, it's image 657 789. And just the idea that the AI could read that document, put some context to it, maybe even file it in the right place for you already, because it knows that that document needs to go here and everything else. Or if they're sending you a document and it's to extract some data like a UTR number, the AI could extract that for you. We're a long way down the road from that, but that's the end goal, isn't it? That's where we're coming into. And it becomes a really, powerful tool if that's what we're going to go into. What do you think? What do you think is...
You say we're a long way down the road from that, but look at how far we've come in 12 months. Like, it's a phenomenal amount of progress. So, as you said earlier, like, over the weekend, I had to play with GPT, and I asked it a question. And basically I said, you're at a conference speaking to accountants and bookkeepers about the importance of supporting clients through economic challenges. Tell me how we can do this while using tools such as QuickBooks. So I put that in, and it basically in seconds spat out the framework for my whole session that I've already planned for this week at QuickBooks, and is similar to the session I planned back in March for QuickBooks Connect. Like, it just spat it out. So I'm there. I've now got a framework. Within 15 minutes, I've got a framework. I've filled it out. And then Grammarly's kicking in and telling me this is 5 out of 5 for inspirational tone. This is 4 out of 5 for confidence, etc. And it's like, cool. It sounds like I've got a good presentation ready to go in 15 minutes, which would have taken an hour or two to write originally. So it is incredibly powerful. Now, in regards to security, that is obviously a concern. So, disclaimer, do not start putting in client personal details into GPT or any other AI tool at this moment in time. Interestingly, Carbon made a really big point of security of client data when they did their video about their AI this week. So they're using Microsoft as their AI tool, and they are, they were saying we're looking after your security, blah blah blah. But for now, if we're putting in non-specific data, like a list of numbers or whatever we're putting in there, then that's fine. but don't start putting in personal details that you don't want the system to know about, basically, because that system's always learning. That there is a reason Chat GTP 4, I think is the latest one, has been stopped from looking at the internet from 2021 onwards, because they don't want it to have anything too new and relevant in it, because it's learning too quickly. So there is a security element there that we need to look at and be aware of as firm owners. And if we're going to start sticking client information in there, once we know it's secure, we also need to look at our privacy policies and our GDPR documents and make sure that we are stating what's going where. So, for example, if I was to use the Carbon AI tool, I would need to update my privacy policy to let my customers know that we are processing data through servers in the US, because they've not got AI servers in Europe at this moment in time. So that's something for us to be aware of, and just remember the less exciting side of things, shall we say. But I think if I've got AI helping me summarize things, so I put some articles through AI last night to help summarize them, so I didn't have to read a whole article. And for the most part, it got all the important information there. It was quite interesting. And it's a really powerful tool that up until now I've been watching and listening about, but I've always felt it's more for your copywriters, your bloggers, your podcasters who need to summarize articles quickly. I've not really worked out until recently how we could start seeing it implement into the accounting industry. I have seen some people going, I put these numbers through and it didn't understand. Well, the Chat GTP tool is a word AI. It's a conversational AI. It's not a mathematics AI, so it won't understand numbers. And if it does, it's doing exceptionally well. So you can't ask it to calculate tax or propose the best tax solution for someone, because A, it's not a number-based algorithm, and B, it's not got the most relevant tax rules in, because it shuts off from the internet at 2021. So we have to be careful and make sure it is able of doing what we want it to do. But summarizing emails, rewriting an email, we've all had those days where a client has sent in a really snotty email, and 9 out of 10 times it's an email, it's their fault, not ours, and they're just passing the buck. It's so easy to have that emotional email response go out to that client.
Yep.
Whereas if you type that out and then put it through Chat GTP saying, rewrite this email in a fair and professional manner, it can do that for you. So it does take out that risk of human emotion that you may not always want to have in the email. I think it's going to be a very revolutionary tool that's going to come into our firms. I've been using it for the last few days in various formats, and I've really enjoyed using it. At Client Engager, we have been kind of very loosely talking about opportunities it could bring in and how it could work. Part of the challenge is not knowing is that their pricing structure is still very young for using software. So you kind of have to work out what's the worst case scenario, or do we let it settle down a bit more, then establish our pricing a bit more before we plug into a tool. But it's a phenomenal opportunity for any software, providing you are cloud-based software. I think companies like, say, TaxCalc will struggle. So if KPM wanted to plug into the AI tool to help give a summary covering note of a set of accounts, or a initial review of a set of accounts that maybe just help trigger some thoughts for the accountant that's compiling them, great, it can do that. But if you're using TaxCalc that's not technically got links into it's not based in the cloud, it could struggle more. So they've got a disadvantage there.
Yeah.
But Charlie on QuickBooks Labs last week was saying that it's now the tool Right Tool is now powered by AI, and it helps spot some basic areas that you might want to focus on as an accountant. Like there's no sales data here. There's no, the number of times that would have actually helped in my firm, and it would made me go, well, why isn't there? Where sometimes you're a bit blind to the numbers. So, yeah, it's. I think it's a phenomenally exciting opportunity for the industry, and I think going back to your point about, is it devaluing our service or something? We had the same debates about OCR technology, and DEX and auto entry, and well, that's what they're paying me to do is enter that information. Whereas now, actually, they're paying you to do something more valuable for them, which means you can charge more for that because there's more perceived value in it. Whilst DEX or auto entry behind the scenes plugging away the data, ChatGTP and AI in general is going to do the same thing for us. In that, do they want me to sit there writing a small paragraph for 10 minutes about this report, or do they want me to use the AI tool that SIF Analytics have just built in to do that for me so I can spend more time with them in that meeting? I know where the better value perception is. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting tool. We've got some comments come in from Paul. So good morning, Paul. Nice of you to join us. AI is an evolution of the spell checker. You wouldn't send an email without spell checking it. AI takes it to the next level. Yeah, completely agree. It's that it helps score the confidence and the professionalism, etc. And it helps, as I say, reword to meet those requirements. It's also a great learning tool.
We've been using kind of AI for such a long time, haven't we? I don't know many people who don't lean on Grammarly as just because that's what we've been told, and it's the best spell checker there's ever been, and it's it takes spell checking that little bit more. Well, that is AI. That has been AI for the past X amount of years, however long it's been going, and even they've now supercharged it, haven't they, with ChatGTP capability and else. So, to Paul's point there, like that, we've been using it for such a long time, just not knowing it, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's spell checker is AI. There's using Siri on your iPad and Alexa, and it heard me. Sod. Using those tools on your phones and iPads and stuff, that's AI. It's just a very crude version of AI. It is very much like the cavemen of us today. We just develop AI at a lot quicker pace. And the big boys are still to enter this market properly. The Googles, the Microsofts. I mean, can you imagine what Apple could do with AI? Like, they're still getting into this market and still seeing what people like GPT and stuff are doing. So it could be phenomenally powerful. So, if we look at all the providers at Accountex, so we already know practice management is some of these companies are looking at it. Carbon and Pixie, they've got a head start on it. Fantastic, really pleased for them. And I posted on LinkedIn this weekend how excited I am that established tech firms in our industry are embracing this so early. Because let's face it, historically, accounting has been a bit of a slow adopter of new tech.
Yeah.
So I think it marks and shows a real change in attitude towards technology in our industry, which I'm really excited about. We know QuickBooks is looking at ideas of how they could implement it. SIF Analytics, I know they've got like a AI tool that will help review documents. What else? Where else in our industry do you think AI could play a really good role going forwards? That maybe they're not even looking at it now.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. Like QBO is definitely already like in advanced talks about the next steps and everything else. But you got to remember, they've already been using it. The VAT error checker is, again, a form of AI. It is just looking at the data, and the idea that the VAT error checker could be supercharged with with AI being brought in. If you remember, they kind of shown off their little chat box a while back where you could ask it questions and it comes through. It didn't really take off, but that's where you could see it in that kind of format, couldn't you? I think for me though, like, outside of your typical practice management solution, we've still got, you've already said it about Microsoft and everything else and our day-to-day tools. I still feel like there's a lot more that can be done there. I know they show some of it off. The idea that you could have had a meeting on Teams, for example, and it's going to look at that meeting, give you a summary of it if you weren't able to arrive, or it's automatically going to do tasks for you if you say you're going to deliver this by so-and-so date, or you're going to call this client and get the answer from them. Like that, those sort of ideas, I think, are going to become part and parcel of it. And because it's built by, like you said, the big boys, Microsoft and everything else, I feel like that's just something that will just slot into place for us. What I would love to see this technology really come into play is the people like Swoop and down that sort of route. And when it comes to finding grants and looking at opportunities to borrow money and everything else, if we can really leverage the data from there into these things, that's going to make our whole solution, our whole service, so much more beneficial for our clients. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to things like Swoop, which is all about trying to get the right funding or get the right borrowings, or basically make our clients more financially beneficial and get them more cash rich, basically. Well, at the moment, the biggest thing holding us back from delivering that service is us. Like we're the barrier to entry, aren't we? Yeah. We've got to learn how to, like, what the warning signs. We've got to learn for what grants could be available. We've got to learn, and it's a constant learning exercise for us, right? And it changes so much. That's why there are specialists. That's why there's people like Swoop out there who do an amazing job at like providing us the tools and providing us the solutions. But still, is always going to be ended up, or the barrier is always going to be us, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like if there's an opportunity for AI to come in and get rid of that barrier, then that's good for everyone. Yeah, that gives everyone a better opportunity. That means you're going to have clients who you may never even have thought of having opportunities and being presented those opportunities all automatically by your AI, by being said, oh, there was this grant available for you because you're doing X, Y, Z. We saw this in whatever it's going to be. Suddenly, those little bits that could have been missed are going to be found again, and I feel like that could be an absolute game changer for us. I do feel like we've got to find ways. We've always talked about this ecosystem and finding ways that everything can talk to one another. And yeah, for automation, it's great that if your CRM solution and your practice management solution, your account solution can all talk to whoever. It's a nice fuzzy feeling when you as we just said, like you update your accounts and they automatically get updated in your practice management, or you say in Teams, for example, you message someone and you could update your practice management solution that way. But if AI was involved, if you send a Teams message over to someone saying, oh, I've just started this job, or I've just sent this over for a review. If that could then tell your practice management solution that's gone for review and automatically update the stage for you, again, we're helping a problem that we have at the moment, where as good as these solutions are, like Client Engagement made some great strides in this area, but it still relies on human interaction, doesn't it? And it's we're the problem with most of these solutions, and we always will be. We can eliminate us as the blockers. I think that's where, for me, the AI becomes really, really powerful, and that's where we can see some great opportunities for us to help more clients and ultimately be more efficient as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think there's one of the biggest blockers I think we've had as accountants and bookkeepers in marketing is how we're told we should do a blog a week on our website. We've got to do all this content generating. That's quite a challenge. But actually, if AI can help us create some of that content and just create the framework and stuff, then amazing. So I was looking at this last night, and I could if I took the example of that session that AI developed a framework for me for, AI develops the framework. I then fatten it up a bit and reword it in places. I check that through Grammarly to see how that script looks. Is it coming across in the right areas I want it to? If I then put that I then record that as a video, I can then put into into an AI tool called Gling, Gling, which then it does the first edit of the video. So it gets rid of all the silences, any of the do-over bits, gets rid of all of that. So actually it's going to save me even more time. And then there's already AI powering things like scheduling tools that go, for this type of content, you're best off publishing it at this time on this day, because that's when the people that interact with this are normally all online. Like, all of a sudden, marketing becomes less of a challenge. It becomes less time consuming for the firm owners.
It's that barrier to entry gets reduced, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's the opportunities in AI are phenomenal. It just takes us being open to them, I think, which we're not always great at in our industry. But I get the feeling the majority of people that attend things like Accountex are more open to those changes and tools than the rest of the industry. So it's the right place for these announcements to be made.
And isn't it such an easy thing to demo as well? Like, one of the problems that we have in our industry is a lot of the times it's very difficult to, create something that's a wow factor that we can, put in front of a stage or put in front of a stand or put a fancy video together for. We've seen, like, we geek out over it. We're the 5%, 1% or whatever it is of the industry that QuickBooks puts a new button in and we all go, wow, oh, wonderful. Yeah, we're not the target audience for that normally, are we? Like, but this sort of thing, I can't imagine any accountant not at least going, okay, you've got my attention now, tell me a bit more. Yeah. And I think that's important as well, isn't it? If anything, this could drive more people to these sort of events, because it's that idea where we go down to the pub or whatever and we talk to another practice manager, and you should have seen this at Accountex. It just, wow, this demo they showed us doing X, Y, Z, and I've never seen anything like it. And then that's how that conversation starts, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, it's one of those that is so easy to demonstrate, and it is a plug and go from implementation point of view in your practice as well.
Yeah,
there's no linking of APIs or anything like that. It's just a press this button to get a small review of your accounts or whatever it is. So yeah, we've had a few more comments come in. So Paul said, I love chat GPT regenerate feature to help word things in different ways. I've already found this really helpful just this weekend, because what I did is I put the same sentence through chat GPT a couple of times, and each time you get a slightly different answer.
Yeah.
And then I said, I want this one to be confident and this one to be inspiring and whatever. And it came in. So I actually took 2 or 3 examples and just copied and pasted the bits I really liked. And for someone that's dyslexic like I am, that's a huge tool, hugely important and beneficial tool. And it actually saved me so much time and gave me confidence in my writing that it was phenomenal. So yeah, the ability to reword things is phenomenal. AJ has put in that he was really impressed with the script that he wrote for me over the weekend. Yeah, like, from one sentence, that was the first time I put that sentence in and it spat that out. And it's like, actually, this is good. Or I write really, really basic presentations and a machine could have done it for me. We'll let the audience be the judge. But yeah, it's really powerful tool. I'm really excited about what this one can do for our industry. And it's been a while since I've seen a tool or a concept come in and go, yeah, this could be a game changer for this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the calculator coming in, isn't it? So
it is. I mean, again, like, just harping on the practice management side of things, like, think of the power. We're all about automation, aren't we? We all want to try and make it as easy and powerful for clients, but sometimes clients can see through that. If they keep getting the same message being sent to them time and time again, it loses the impact, right? Well, if we've got this tool that's rewording that message every time it goes out, slightly different, bit more humanized, whatever tone we want to put there, well, it's going to make it more engaging for the client. They're not going to get the same message of please update this or please send this in. It's, they could put context there, they can send that out. And that's where I really do feel like, that's the next stage, right? Like, we're going to be able to make it so that we can automate things, but automate things almost in a scarily human way. And that's, that's where it's going to come into. And I again, we've seen it played around with chat boxes and stuff like that, and they're great and they'll always be useful. And it'll become a point where every accounting firm is going to have a chat box, and it's all going to be connected by this. We can see it, can't you, as a way to stay competitive.
And Teamworks are working on that. So Teamworks are working on this whole chat GPT option. And if a client went to my website or their client portal, they could go in and say, "Oh, what's my UTR number? Here you go. What can you find me the last set of my accounts? Here you go." Like, that's without interrupting us on our daily routine.
Self-service, isn't it?
The AI tool does it. But yeah, it's exciting and interesting. Yeah. And I think overall it's going to be the theme of the Accountex this year.
And I wonder what the ones who aren't talking about AI, I wonder if they're a little bit nervous. I think, like you guys new to the block, like you've already said you're openly looking into it, but it's probably a bit too soon for you now. Yeah. But the more established practice management solutions, if they don't have AI ready to show at Accountex, could that be like that massively detrimental to them? Is it too soon now? Do they get a pass this year? But if it's not next year, are they in trouble? Are we really looking at that sort of revolutionary in your eyes?
I think we almost are, within practice management, definitely. Like, QuickBooks is talking about AI. Sage and Xero don't seem to be. I think Sage and Xero have probably got another year or two to worry about it before it becomes a defining feature that, well, you weren't there when, QuickBooks is ahead of you because they've now got AI. In practice management terms, client engager, new boy on the block. We've got other priorities than AI at the moment. We've got other things we need to do to catch up with the rest of the industry as a whole, feature-wise. So, we still need to finish off our automated emails. We still need to finish off our forms feature. We've got things we want to do before we feel like we are on a level with our competition. However, so, yes, we're looking at AI and we're talking, it's very loosey-goosey, like, oh, could we do this? Could we do that? We've not got any plans for it. It is just the coffee room conversation, as it were. However, for the bigger boys that are more established, I do wonder if Pixie and Carbon have got the jump on the likes of Accountancy Manager. And I do wonder if by doing AI, is this a kind of one of the final nails in the coffin for those all-in-one solutions? So TaxCalc has got a practice management tool. NOMI has got a practice management tool. KPM's got a practice management tool. They're not best in class. They're okay if that's what you want to use. But at what point does AI become like this, like email integration? That became a minimum standard of practice management tool. Automated emails became a minimum standard. Accountancy Manager led the way for years for that. At what point does AI become a minimum standard in practice management? I think it's going to become a minimum standard in practice management a lot quicker than it will in general ledger softwares. I think it will become a minimum standard in reporting softwares before it becomes a minimum standard in general ledger softwares. But so I think practice management will embrace it first, followed by reporting tools. People like SIF Analytics are already all over this. They've already got solutions out there.
And it's impressive as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful, yeah, wonderful solution.
So yeah, I do think Pixie and Carbon have set themselves up really nicely by saying, yeah, we're ready we're getting ready to launch ChatGTP. Now, I don't know when these guys are launching it. There's no reference to dates.
Yeah.
It would make sense that Pixie launched their their Copilot tool, as they're calling it, which I think is that the same name Microsoft are using for theirs as Copilot?
Yes, I keep seeing that, yeah. But it's leveraging the same tech. Oh no, that's Carbon, isn't it?
Carbon's using the same tech, but
yeah.
I mean, they're right. It is a Copilot. They're there to pick up some of the slack for you while you pilot your ship, as it were, or your plane. It would make sense that Pixie launched Copilot at the same time as them launching Pixie 2.0. Carbon, I don't know when they're going to launch their AI. They're very good at doing these videos of this is what it's going to do and how it's going to look. And they did the same with like the calendar integration, but then it took quite a long time for that actually to become public use. So yeah, it's great that we're talking about it. It's great that practice management tools have come up with use cases for it and how it can improve day-to-day use of the software. And I'm excited to see it in action.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think if Accountancy Manager aren't talking AI in the next 6 months, they could be outdated very quickly.
And that's scary to think, isn't it? Like, that's how quick the progression is, isn't it, nowadays?
Yeah. I mean, we are quick at Client Engager to adopt and roll out new features. Whether we do that with AI or not, a different matter. But if AI has literally kind of come onto the scene, in the last 12 months, and tools like Pixie and Carbon are rolling it out in the next 6 months, before Accountancy Manager, I mean, I'd say Center, but Iris Elements, for example, even talk about or look at it, then they've got a hell of a head start.
Unlikely, isn't it? Let's be honest.
They've got a hell of a head start, and they've got it's not a gimmick. Yeah. I don't think AI is a gimmick for practice management tool. I think it offers true value to the solution and to the user. And that's what makes it dangerous to the likes of Accountancy Manager, is it doesn't seem like it's going to be a gimmick. It's not like, whatever feature you want to come up with that, whether it's a Kanban view versus list or whatever you want to say, it's more of a gimmick. It doesn't really bring any value or whatever it is.
User preference over.
Yeah. That's it. Like integrating into QuickBooks, your practice management tool, to bring in invoicing and stuff. It's more the minority that will use that than the majority. It's a nice to have, but it's not a deal breaker. That's certainly the reaction we're getting, is it's nice to have Xero built into you, but it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Whereas I think AI is going to become a deal breaker. Is that right? What AI have you got?
Yeah.
None.
How strong?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and look at the others then that have got it. I think it's going to be a conversation in every demo going forwards.
I think that's right. And I think, just one point there about the general ledgers. So obviously QuickBooks, we know. I can't imagine Sage, if they're not looking, they're looking to buy someone, because that's Sage's way, isn't it? Right. So every confidence that's gonna happen at some point. I really feel for Xero at the moment. They're going through a bad patch, and they don't have. Well, if you look at the numbers and you look at everything that's going on, all the news, they don't seem to have as much cash floating around at this point in time, and
you're going a bit dark, mate.
Yeah. And it almost feels like from Xero's point of view, this could be a really difficult position for them, because they're going to have to invest to keep up. That's as simple as that. Like, I do feel like as soon as QuickBooks, Sage, they start showing how AI can improve there, because I generally feel this is for the end user more than anything else. As an accountant, it'd be great. Yeah, we'll get those reporting requirements. We'll get all those bits in there. But for the end user, the AI capabilities that could help for them, this is a game changer when it's implemented. And if Zero can't implement that fast enough and quick enough, then they're going to be in real trouble. So I hope for them, because we've said it many a time, like, yeah, okay, we joke around, it's, you know, we're QuickBooks through and through, but we need Zero there as well, don't we? Like, we need that innovation. We need them pushing. They may come to they may bring something else to the table about AI.
Look at the practice management space.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason AI has been pushed by Pixie and Carbon. That's because it was getting a bit stale. Yeah. Like, everyone had the same features in a way, one way or another. There wasn't any real innovation in the space. Like, Accountancy Manager were redoing their time module. Carbon have just launched their time module. Yet the accounting industry as a whole is moving away from billing by the hour. You know, Accountancy Manager's biggest innovation was their workflows, and they've done that because everyone else had already got it. So what was next? And Andy and I had that conversation a couple of weeks ago of what's next after all this? Like, we're knocking out loads of updates, but what is next for us? And now we know what's next. We need to look at AI. We need to look at how Pixie and Carbon are embracing this and the use cases, and come up with our own use cases as well. Because I think it's going to become a minimum standard, a minimum expectation that practice management has it. But that's great because it inspires development. It inspires new features. You know, Pixie and Carbon have been first to the market with AI. Congratulations to them. Huge respect for that. But it gives Accountancy Manager time to go look and go, they're using it in these use cases. We think that's great, but we've also got these use cases in mind. And you constant playing leapfrog and one-upmanship. And that is what, as accountants, we need from our software providers. We need that competition to ensure we are getting the best products and the best features and best developments for our own practice. Otherwise, we end up with general ledger software of the 1990s, where there was no one else on the game. Sage didn't move forwards. They maintained their position. And because there was no competition, there was no development and inspiration and development improvements on what we had. It was only when Xero and QuickBooks came to the market that all of a sudden we've seen this huge push on new features and innovation, which has been the revitalizing of the industry that we needed.
Agreed.
So, yeah. Well, Aaron, you said we might not have time to go. We might run out of topics again, didn't you? You say that every week. I mean, we've just spent 50 minutes talking about AI. You've been playing with a new tool, haven't you?
I certainly have, yeah.
I'll let you take the lead on this.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, there is a new kid on the block, Translucent. We've been talking about them in the past. More so than anything we were excited about is who's on board. So we've got X0, XDext from memory. I can't remember exactly who was on board, but literally we've got, it seems like if you were going to put on paper a brand new app and you were going to bring on the people on board, this was the, you know, this was going to be the app. Yeah, exactly. You'd pick up, this is almost like the super band of app development. Called Translucent. The whole idea is it's all about multi-entity companies. So if you've got more than one company within a group, and especially that the whole premise on this is that if you are using different FMS, as we like to call them now, financial management solutions, bookkeeping solutions to me and you. But basically, if you have different ones, different solutions, and you could connect it and seamlessly put this together, that's their end goal. They announced, what was it, 6 months ago, I believe it was, or maybe even shorter than that. But basically, they're going to be rolling out their solution in stages. They're connecting to Xero, that EV, which we don't know who that is, Extract, MYOB, Oracle, Penny Lane, QuickBooks, and Sage. So definitely the features or the solutions that we're excited about using. And the idea is that you add all these together. If you've got multiple companies, you'll put it all into Translucent platform, and then you can do live sheets, group reporting, buy analytics, financial close. And what they've released early now, or they released yesterday, should I say, was the search functionality. I was playing around with it yesterday. And in premise, what you do is you connect all your companies up, as I said there. Unfortunately, it's only Xero at the moment, but the rest will come later down the line. So at the moment, you can add multiple Zero companies to Translucent, and then you can use the search functionality to try and find it. So, even in our practice, this is really powerful because we have a practice where we have multiple different entities. We have an IT department or an IT business, and we have HR, and there's all sorts of things. And we've had it in the past where a client may come into our main email account and we all see it and we're like, who's that client from? Because that's not a Bofix client. Oh, that's one of the IT clients, for example, and we just have no idea what about that they've just taken on or whatever it's going to be. And this search functionality means that you could just quickly bring up Translucent, put the search, and up will pop all the data. And so far, it's really impressive. Like, it seems simple, it seems straightforward, but what they've definitely done is they've gone for that really easy to use. None of this having to jump through hoops to get all the data in and everything else. And just a really slick solution so far. So yeah, early days for it. And I'm sure we'll talk about it in future Ask the Accountants going forward, especially when they start putting some of these extra functionalities in. But yeah, it's looking good. It's looking interesting to see. So thumbs up so far. Keep an eye out on it. I've got a video due in the next couple of weeks whenever it comes through, so you can have a look at it in a little bit more detail. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. So yeah, looking good. See, we've had some messages come through as I've been talking.
Yep. So Kirsty is looking forward to seeing us both at Accountex. She's got a series of questions for Client Engager, so I will catch up with her and answer all of those for her. If I don't, Andy or Peter will, I'm sure. So that is bringing us to the end. I won't ask you what you've got coming up this week, Aaron, because we both know what's coming up. I think all the audience know what's coming up now. It is Accountex, and we will be there both days. We will be wandering around, filming. We've got our live Ask the Accountant podcast on at 4:00 on Wednesday. So come and see us for that. We'll be taking loads of questions from the audience, and the topic is going to be running the future accounting firms, or accounting firms of the future, building them type thing.
Don't change the topic now.
No, we'll get told off by accountants. So join us for that. Make sure you come up and say hello. It's always great to hear feedback from people about the show and stuff like that. Kirsty's got the right questions again. What party will we be at? I believe we are at the Ignition party. Is that correct, Aaron?
We've had to turn parties down.
We have had to turn invites down.
One thing I would say, just to put it out there, like Accountex is a special event for anyone who's not going. Please looking to get yourself down there for one of the 2 days. If it wasn't for Accountex, this very podcast wouldn't exist. Like that's how important it is. It's about building a network. You will walk away with there meeting new friends, new acquaintances, whatever you want to call them, and it's really, really important. But yeah, we had to turn parties down this year because they just wanted Ask the Accountant to be there, didn't they? It was be there. But no, you're right. Ignition, which is at the Fox. It is the
We're
Fox,
at the Fox,
yeah. Which is
You'll
the easiest
find me
one to find.
outside because I can hear people that way. It gets too hot and too loud inside for me. I'm an old man. But yeah, so we'll be there in the evening at the Fox. But yeah, it's just a fantastic 2 days. Even if you're not planning on going at the moment, if you realize you've got a good half day, 3/4 of a day, even a full day that's actually quite quiet on the Wednesday or the Thursday, it's definitely worth jumping on the train and going into it if you can. I'm going down on Tuesday. I'll be coming back on Friday because it's such a long trip from Edinburgh, but it's such a worthwhile 2 days to go network, software providers. It's so informative, so many great sessions. And of course you can get to come and meet Aaron and myself. We will be taking feedback on board. We'll be interviewing people. We are going to be going around trying to get all the latest updates from all the software providers to bring you. We're going to be busy, if nothing else.
Yeah, we may even have a social takeover to look after. So more on that when it.
There is a rumor of this, isn't there? There's a rumor. Ask the Accountant will be taking over. Let's call it a major software providers.
What damage can no?
Social media channels for both days, which is very exciting. So we invited to do stuff like that. So Yeah, and who knows what will come out of Accountex 2023. Last time we went to Accountex, this happened. So who knows what else will happen. But yeah.
Who else to invite to QuickBooks Labs?
Yeah. On that note, guys, we have just ticked over the 1 hour mark. So we will say thank you very much for everyone that tuned in this morning on the Bank Holiday Monday. And we look forward to hopefully seeing loads of you this week. Failing that, we will be live at 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon on all our social media channels, providing it all works properly. And failing that, we will be live on all our social media channels next Monday with our review of Accountex 2023. So that is goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Thank you, guys.
Don't be a stranger. See you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy Accountex.